Today, we're going to talk about a practical tool for making those really tough calls. You know, the ones where the right answer isn't obvious at all, and the stakes are just incredibly high. So, let's just dive right in. I want you to picture this. You're in a situation exactly like this one. There's a huge opportunity right in front of you, but it's a gray area. What you decide to do next could literally make or break your entire career. This is exactly why having a clear process is so critical. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'll just follow the law. Simple. But it's not always enough. Legal standards, think of those as the absolute floor, the bare minimum. Ethical principles, on the other hand, that's a much higher standard. It's about doing the right thing, not just the required thing. And here's the key takeaway. Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's ethical. The law sets the floor, not the ceiling. And what's really fascinating is that sometimes new rules, which are actually designed to stop bad behavior, can accidentally create brand new loopholes for other problems. It's a perfect example of why we can't just depend on regulations to guide us. We all need our own internal compass. So that brings us to a really important question. If most of us genuinely want to do the right thing, why do good, well-intentioned people sometimes make absolutely disastrous decisions? Well, the answer usually isn't some deep character flaw. It's often something way more subtle. A lot of the time, it comes down to something called situational influences. These are all the external pressures that are constantly swirling around us at work, factors that can push us, often without us even realizing it, toward a choice we would never make in a vacuum. And listen, these are not just abstract ideas. Think about your own life. That pressure to impress your manager, the dream of landing a huge bonus, that need to fit in with your successful colleagues. These are really powerful everyday forces that can cloud anybody's judgment. So, to fight back against these powerful, almost invisible currents, we need a tool. We need a structured way of thinking that helps us take a step back, see the whole picture, and navigate past all those influences to make the right call. And that tool is this: a simple but really powerful 4-step framework for ethical decisions. You can think of it as your personal guide for navigating all those tricky gray areas. It's actually pretty straightforward. First, you identify all the key pieces. What are the facts? Who is this going to affect? And where are the real conflicts? Second, you consider the outside pressures and all your different options. Third, you decide and you act. And finally, and this is a step so many people forget, you reflect on how it all turned out so you can learn for the next time. Okay, theory's great and all, but let's see how this thing actually plays out in the real world. We're going to walk through a case study here. It involves a massive IPO and a junior analyst who has his entire future on the line. So, meet our analyst. He's working on the biggest deal of the decade. He's ambitious, he's super eager, and he really, really wants to impress his boss. He's put together a preliminary report, and he gets this idea. He thinks he can make it even better by getting some quick feedback from his contacts out in the industry. So he drafts an email, attaches the confidential report to it, and he gets ready to send it off to his contacts. I mean, his finger's literally hovering over the send button, but then he stops. He decides, okay, wait a second, and runs this decision through the framework first. Okay, so applying step 1, he starts to identify the key factors. He realizes the stakeholders aren't just him and his boss. Oh no, it's his employer, the client company, and all of the future investors. And his primary conflict, it's suddenly crystal clear. His personal desire to get ahead is in a direct clash with his professional duty to protect confidential information. So then he moves on to consider the pressures, the thought of that bonus, the whole culture of success at his firm. Those are some serious situational influences, but he also thinks about where he could get guidance, the company policy manual, his boss, the compliance department, and then he realizes there is a much safer alternative. He could still talk to his contacts, but just about the industry in general, without revealing a single secret detail. And just by using the framework, the path forward becomes so obvious. The right choice is to check the firm's policies, which, by the way, would have explicitly forbidden this, delete that email immediately, and just go talk to his supervisor about the best way to move forward. It's a simple, safe choice that protects literally everyone. It seems so obvious. But that's not what happened in the real-life situation this case is based on. The real analyst didn't use a framework. He didn't pause. He hit send. And the consequences, they were catastrophic. The analyst was fired on the spot. His supervisor was fired too for failing to supervise him. The firm had to pay millions of dollars in fines. And that termination, it is now a permanent public mark on that young analyst's record, something that will follow him for the rest of his career. One email, one single moment of bad judgment, and it created this cascade of ruin. But this story isn't just some cautionary tale. No, it's a powerful lesson about the importance of turning ethical theory into instinct, into something we can call ethical muscle memory. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. It just reframes the whole thing perfectly. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't expect to just go out and run a marathon without any training, right? Well, in the same way, we can't expect to handle these complex ethical pressures if we don't practice. By using a framework over and over, we're actually training ourselves to make the right moves instinctively when it really counts. So here's the crucial point. A framework like this isn't a magic bullet. It doesn't guarantee a perfect outcome every single time. But what it does is force you to lift your head up, to see beyond your own short-term interests, and to consider the entire landscape. It helps you avoid those unintentional mistakes that can have absolutely devastating consequences. Which leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you have this tool, this way of practicing, the next time you're the one with your finger hovering over that send button, will your ethical muscle memory be strong enough to make the right call?